Hello, welcome back to Kev's Vintage Tractor Repair channel. If you remember from the previous episode, we removed the cylinder head. So in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about time and marks and things like that. So I'm going to point some of those out along the way. So I hope you enjoy the video. Just one more little thing. I'd like to say a big thank you to Lance from Bundy Bear's Shed for giving me a shout out the other day. That was really appreciated. Thank you. Enjoy the video. Hello and welcome back to Kev's Vintage Tractor Repair channel. So we're still working on the FE35 engine, 23C. Now I've removed the gasket, we can have a look on top and we can actually see what's been going on with the engine. We can see the yellow coming through and it's going across here to the water jacket, or the water side of it. So number 2 cylinder was actually blowing, it was actually getting water through. And also here, it had crossed again. So if we can sort of zoom in on this place here, see it's all sort of corroded here. So the exhaust gases or combustion gases in here have been coming across into the water side and water's been going across into number 2 cylinder. At least we know we've actually found something with this engine, a bit of damage. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at some of the time marks on this engine, the 23C. So what we're going to do first is we're going to remove the front crank pulley and the timing cover and just see what we can find inside there. And there may be timing marks and stuff like that. So we need 1/2 inch ratchet and socket, bucket to chuck our parts in again. Some of these I have loosened already just to save us a little bit of time. When we're taking the main crankshaft nut off, just be aware, let me take it all the way out, we have, I didn't bring any rags with me, I'll get some in a minute, a little shim, alright, so don't lose that. So we'll put that back on there. We've got our lock tab washer, which is there as well. Obviously they can only go in one way because that's where the keyway and woodruff key is. Obviously when that's in there, it'll lock itself in place and it won't spin. We'll put those in our pot. I think this is fairly loose, this one. So off it comes. In here is where the front crank seal is. We'll see it a bit better as we're taking it apart. So let's have a look at the front crank pulley. We've taken the crank pulley off. I'll give it a wipe just to wipe the oil off. We can see oil hanging at the bottom there, so I should think it was about to start leaking. And also on the end there, that shiny bit is where the oil seal has been running, and there is a little ridge in there, well not a ridge, sort of a trough, so we can actually feel where it's been running, but that should be all right. Just I have seen them before on the petrol paraffins where they've cracked through there. When you get it off, have a good look at it, inspect it. This is exactly how we left it last time. I haven't cleaned it down. This is still all the old muck and sand and rubbish, all right, from before. So what we'll do, we'll take all these off. Let's see what happened here. Okay, I think that was just done up a bit tight. That normally goes into there. All right, so here's in our time and cover tray. There's the old oil seal. This one was an old leather one. It might be the original one or could have been replaced at some point. There's nothing nasty in there. Got some dirty old oil. Here we are on the timing chain. What we have, timing chain adjuster, oil pump, sprocket to operate the oil pump, crankshaft sprocket behind, and obviously our camshaft on there as well. Hasn't had an oil change for a long time. So let's just give it a bit of a wipe and just see if we can see any timing marks, because now we want to start marking things, all right, to make this easy for ourselves when we put it back together. You can mark it as much as you like, as long as you know the marks that you've made, go by that. We've got our throwout ring here, which is on the woodruff key. Take a picture of that to which way round it's going to go, all right? So yeah, it didn't go that way, it went that way, obviously to throw the oil out. So just remember, if you can, where things went. It will make your life a lot easier when we start putting it back together. All right, so what I'm going to do is, I think what we'll do, we'll take the oil pump out of the way, and sometimes this pulley, yeah, it does come, that will come out. So what we'll do, we'll get a 1/2 inch and we'll take the oil pump off. We've taken the cover off, we've had a look inside, all right. There are, and now what we need to do is find the timing marks, obviously on the camshaft and the crankshaft. But to see the ones on the crankshaft, sorry, we need to get the oil pump and everything out of the way. So what we'll do, there are 4 1/2 inch bolts around here. So I'm just going to undo those. Another way you could do, there's a roll pin through here, so we could always knock that out just to make life a little bit easier. But we want to take it out and inspect it anyway, because I'll replace it and put a new oil pump in. There we go. Right. Okay, so here is our little oil pump. With the engine rotating, we can see how the pump moves. So oil comes in down there, in it comes, starts getting compressed, and obviously pushed out of these small gaps there, obviously then to force it through the little oil ways and channels around the engine. There is a wear measurement in there, which will be in the book. I'll have a look at that at a later date. So there is our oil pump. Also, just remember there is a gasket on that as well. Okay, let's see if we can get this crankshaft pulley off again. Or pulley bolt. Okay, so off this one should, in theory, I have to get that woodruff key out. And here it comes. And there's a little woodruff key. Right, so get a bit more off. Okay, here's the oil pump sprocket drive. All right, just have a little look at it, see if there's any teeth broken or anything like that. And same thing again, just try and remember which way it goes on. A nice flat side and a side which sort of sticks out, and obviously flat to flat when we put that back together again. For our woodruff keys, there's the woodruff key. All right, for the oil pump, sprocket and bits and pieces we've taken off. So what we need to find now is some timing marks. All right, just to sort of know where everything is before we really start taking these to bits. Just through experience and working on these, I know, obviously we've got our woodruff keys underneath at 6 o'clock. I know then that means that cylinder is at top dead center. But we're lucky on this one, and you're not going to see it on the camera very well. On here, there is a scribed mark, really, really lightly scribed. and also at the top. So what I'll do, I'll just draw a little line on it there. Obviously you ain't going to see that one anyway. So what we need to do is, in the book, just line those up, and which within a bit they're straight. So we know our crank has pushed the cylinder to top dead center, or the piston, sorry, to top dead center, and we know the crankshaft for the inlet and exhaust valves, okay, are closed. All right, obviously that's where it is there. All right, it does take a little bit of messing about to get it right. I have seen them before where there are no marks on these, so you must probably then having to get a little punch, maybe punch there and one on there, so you know yourself when you put that back on that camshaft, it'll go in the correct place. So there will be a little bit of trial and error if you're just going to do the job of changing your chain. So just to prove that we are at top dead center, we're just going to have a look at the back of the engine, all right, where the flywheel is. I'll just show you a couple of marks on there. So we know we've marked it right the other end. We can do this, okay, because obviously we've got the engine out, and obviously we've got marks on the flywheel and on the block. We've got an arrow here, okay, so that's telling me, all right, that's the mark for the top dead center of the flywheel, which has got an arrow on there as well. So we know it's right at the front, it's right at the back. All right, so we know there are marks. Now, be careful on some of these flywheels, okay, because there are other marks on here. So if I don't turn it around, we have another one, okay. Now this one is just a straight line, okay. Yeah, and that's lined up, but what it's doing this time, number one cylinder is at the bottom, all right? So obviously don't get them the wrong way around. Just be aware of other marks. There's one more mark on here, so I'm just going to bring it round so you can see it. I've had to draw it in white pencil, but it's another very lightly scribed line. Now, that line is 16 degrees, okay, before top dead center. Now, why is that important? 16 degrees before top dead center is to do with timing of our injection pump and getting that in the correct place, obviously for the most fuel efficient place it needs to be. You ain't going to see it now, but on the back of the engine on the side here, there's a tiny little hole, all right? If you get a punch, all right, just a normal punch, something strong that's not going to bend, all right, we can push it through and we can feel it, it's solid on the back. So if I just go off that mark, so we need to just keep an eye on that roughly. If we just keep moving it, we should. Try and get it in the right place. Okay, so that is now gone into a hole in the flywheel. So now we know that line is at top, is at 16 degrees before top dead center. We can look on our injection pump and there's letters in there which correspond to the side of a snap ring in there, and it needs to be on G. It's a bit hard to see, but I will do a separate video on that. That's what the marks are. Now, if we now got all that wrong, all right, and we put that mark obviously at the bottom and the other mark at the top, it would throw all the timing out. So just be careful what you're doing. And all right, I know that's not a dot punch, but just two little dot punches, all right, just to, you know yourself, it's in the correct place. And also something I do, I'll just take that out, is I'll put it at top dead center. Now imagine this is all in the tractor sill, so we still can't see that, but we know we can get the front right. So if we just bring the camera round, so imagine we've still got the engine in the tractor, all right, and we still want to know where, just to help us, where top dead center is. Now imagine we've changed the chain, but what we're going to do, we're going to mark it. I sometimes get a little dot punch and dot punch a little mark where the start motor goes. It's not going to hurt it, doesn't matter. All right, and also what we could do is put a corresponding mark on our flywheel, because once we've done our new timing chain, we're going to put the cover back on. All right, and obviously we want to do tappets and things like that. And just as a reference point, all right, for us when we're working on it, we can bring it all round, and I know then that is at the top dead center. That's my mark. I know the arrow, obviously you can't see it, and the scribe lines on the sprockets are in the correct place as well. All right, so just little things just to make it easy for yourself. Just going to do one more little bit, and what we're going to do is just remove the timing chain tensioner. Okay, so we're back around the front of the engine again, and obviously our Woodruff keys are at 6 o'clock, and our scribe lines, okay, are in line as well. All right, so just keep checking and just keep making your own little marks on there. So the last thing what I'm going to do today is I'm going to remove the timing chain tensioner. Now, I've had these engines in the past where these are completely fell apart and it's sitting in the bottom of the timing cover tray and still running. All right, some of these engines still run with the bits lying in the bottom. So I'm just going to take it apart so you can see. So that's 11/16. So I'll do that one. There we go, it's on a little dowel. So off it comes. It is worn, all right. So we know the chain is worn and it's been wearing, but I'm gonna replace this and put a new one in. And in the next video, we'll take the flywheel and injection pump off, and we'll get down into the sump, because that's where I want to have a look, because that's where there is a lot of damage inside. All right, so thank you for watching. Hope you found it interesting. Any questions, anything like that, please put them in the comments, and I'll see you later.